Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my most disappointing teams for 2021 college football edition. These are teams that had high expectations that completely flopped. I'm going to be giving you guys a list of some of the biggest disappointments of 2021. Starting with number 10, and it's going to be Ohio State. I expect them to finish 5th, as you guys can see right there, and the in parentheses ranking is where their preseason rank was. So Ohio State was ranked 4th. They're probably going to finish the season ranked 5th. I'm sure many people wondering, Ohio State, how are they on your most disappointing teams? They won the Rose Bowl. They're probably going to finish with an AP ranking of 5th. If you think about Ohio State, they have 3 major goals every year. Beat Michigan, didn't beat Michigan. Win the Big Ten Championship, didn't even make the Big Ten Championship. Make the playoff, they did not make the playoff. I don't blame C.J. Stroud. I don't blame the defensive players. I don't blame the linebackers. I blame the defensive coaching staff for Ohio State, and in specific, Ryan Day, for not realizing after last year's debacle in the national title against Alabama that he needed a new defensive coordinator. Ohio State's defense has not had a real defensive coordinator for 2 years now. That'll change. Ryan Day did go out and get one of the best defensive coordinators in college football in Jim Knowles. But I'm telling you, you think Ohio State, they won the Rose Bowl. Ohio State's goal every year is to not win the Rose Bowl. It's to beat Michigan. They didn't beat Michigan. It's to make the playoff. They didn't make the playoff. It's to win the Big Ten. They didn't even make the Big Ten championship game. Add on top of that a disappointing loss early in the season at home in a big non-conference game to an overrated Oregon team. It was a disappointing year for Ohio State. I'm putting them at number 10. They're not one of the top most disappointing teams, but still, it's a lost year, and you have to blame the defensive coaching staff for Ohio State, and that falls on Ryan Day. So they're number 10. Number 9, Miami. They're going to finish the year, obviously, unranked. They were preseason ranked number 14, as you can see in parentheses right there. This might have been a good thing for Miami, because had they been competitive all season, we wouldn't have gotten to see Tyler Van Dyke improve, and he really is the future of Miami. I've got Miami ranked really high in my preseason poll for 2022. De'Aaron King did not look good, and then he got injured. I had said last year when the preseason ranks come out, I have no clue why Miami is being ranked where they are at number 14. I had said I thought it was to bump up Alabama's schedule, give them another ranked win. There was no reason Miami should have been ranked 14th last year. They have a bad season this year, but they did find a legitimate quarterback. They did get a real head coach, so Miami, the football program, is looking up in 2022. Number 8 most disappointing team, it's going to be LSU. LSU starts the year preseason ranked 16th. They're going to finish the year clearly unranked, basically dealing with a lame duck coaching staff for half of their SEC schedule. That's a tough way to play if you're LSU, if you're those kids. I will give LSU's athletic department credit for realizing that Ed Orgeron is a fraud, and he completely lucked into the 2019 national championship that LSU won. LSU's 2019 team was one of the best teams in college football history, with Joe Burrow, with Justin Jefferson, with Jamar Chase. If you believe in your head coach, even if he has a bad next 2 years, you're going to stick with him due to the 2019 run. Obviously, they thought it was mostly Joe Brady. Ed Orgeron got lucky with Joe Burrow transferring from Ohio State. They know that dude. It was clear luck in 2019. They're reactionary, and they say, we're not going to be stuck in the mud as a football program. We're going to hire someone legit. As for Brian Kelly, I do not think that's going to work out at all. Brian Kelly, I think, signed a 10-year contract. I would put the over-under on years he lasts at LSU at 3.5, and I'd take the under. Brian Kelly is not right for LSU. They're going to get trounced by Alabama, and he's going to really fall out of favor with LSU fans. It is not a good fit. Brian Kelly and LSU, they come in at number 8 on most disappointing teams. Really, playing with a lame duck coaching staff for half of your SEC games, that's just a tough year if you're a fan of LSU. If you're, they knew Ed Orgeron wasn't going to come back midway through the season, but they didn't want to fire him, to have a coaching change, to have an interim head coach. Either way, it's just tough if you're a fan trying to root for that team. They come in at number 8. Number 7, it's Washington. Anytime you get ranked in the AP preseason poll, they were ranked number 20th, and then the first game of the season, you lose to an FCS team, you're going to come in on the top 10 most disappointing list. You know, if there's one thing Washington and their fan base learned this year, it's Jimmy Lake was not the guy. There were high expectations. There were a ton of Washington fans that loved that dude, thought he was a great culture fit for Washington. They lose week 1 to Montana. They lose to Michigan, who at the time, if you guys remember that week 2 game against Michigan, nobody thought Michigan was any good. Michigan beats Washington by like 11 points, and everyone thinks Washington is terrible, and it turned out Washington was terrible. But overall, Washington losing to the FCS team really just sunk their season completely, along with Jimmy Lake really not being a good coach. They end up firing him. Washington comes in at number 7. Number 6, it's USC. They were preseason ranked 15th. They're going to finish the season unranked. They did get Lincoln Riley, so I'm sure their fan base is a little bit more happy, but they had a veteran quarterback. That didn't work out. Drake London, he was playing great. I think Drake London was going to set like the receptions record or something. He had a crazy number of receptions through like the first 6 games for USC. He gets injured because USC is so bad. He opts out for the rest of the season. And yeah, for a team with a veteran quarterback, a lot of talent, I don't understand. I guess it worked out for USC because they get Lincoln Riley. It felt like Clay Helton was on the hot seat for the last 4 seasons. Did it not? Like, that's what it felt like. It felt like Clay Helton was on the verge of getting fired for so long. He finally gets fired, and they do hit a home run with Lincoln Riley, but their 2021 season, especially with a veteran quarterback in a wide open Pac-12, it was not good. It was extremely underwhelming. They finished the year unranked. I don't even think, no, they didn't make a bowl game. They finished the year unranked and not making a bowl game. Moving on to number 5, it is Florida. They were preseason AP ranked 13th. They're clearly going to finish the year unranked at 6 and 7. After winning a shootout against Samford, Florida would go on to lose 2 of their last 3 games, including losing the Battle for Florida, the ultimate game against UCF in their bowl game. Now, I'm just thinking about how quickly things turned south for Dan Mullen and his tenure at Florida. You guys remember earlier this year when Florida almost beat Alabama at home, everyone was like, oh, this Florida team's amazing. Turned out Alabama was just really inconsistent. This really started last year during the Cotton Bowl, I think it was, against Oklahoma, when basically everyone on Florida sat out. It was perhaps the worst New Year's Six games in history of New Year's Six games. Everyone on Florida sat out. They got crushed by Spencer Rattler. And then this bowl game, Florida's starting quarterback was in the transfer portal. Think about that. If you're a Florida fan, back-to-back bowl games. Last year in a New Year's Six bowl, your whole team sits out. You get crushed by Oklahoma. This year, the quarterback that's starting for your team in the bowl game is also in the transfer portal. Oh my goodness, it's so unfortunate. Dan Mullen's career at Florida was like that. I mean, it was like, and then it just fell off a cliff. It was going up. It was decent. You almost beat Alabama this year, and then boom. What a crazy career it was for Dan Mullen, and Florida, complete mess this year. Coming in at number 4, it's Iowa State. They're probably going to finish the year ranked around 17th after losing the bowl game to Clemson. But a lot of people don't remember how high Matt Campbell and Iowa State was ranked. They were ranked 7th. There were so many people predicting Iowa State to make the playoff. I warned people in the preseason when teams like Iowa State, who aren't used to high expectations, when they have these high expectations, they normally don't live up to them. Matt Campbell, he's been a hot name on, is he going to take a bigger job? His star is kind of burning out at this point, and really what it comes down to for Iowa State fans, Brock Purdy was horrible. There were people projecting Brock Purdy to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. He was terrible. This Iowa State team, again, huge expectations in the preseason. People thought this team was clearly going to make the Big 12 championship game. Turns out Baylor was the surprise team of the Big 12, not Iowa State, and Iowa State finished the year. People don't remember, Iowa State started the year like 2-2. I mean, they lost to Iowa. They were basically out of it within the first month of the season. This was a team that a lot of people predicted to make the playoffs. Preseason AP 7. They finished the season decent, although they end up losing to Clemson in their bowl game. Iowa State comes in at number 4 on my most disappointing teams of 2021. Number 3, it's going to be North Carolina. They're finishing the year unranked. They were preseason top 10 team. You know, it really started week 1 with the upset loss to Virginia Tech. Sam Howell not playing up to expectations at all. North Carolina could not make up for the losses they had with the 2 running backs, Javonte Williams and Michael Carter. I will say, North Carolina fans, there's reason to be optimistic. They are landing some significant 5-star players. I think they have 2 of the top 10 5-star players in the nation committed in their 2022 class. So Mac Brown is still recruiting really well, but overall, you're talking about Sam Howell. He should be better. This North Carolina team maybe a little overranked in the preseason AP poll. People thinking this team reloads when it's more of a rebuild. They needed to rebuild. They got their quarterback back, but they lost everyone else, so it made them tough to rank in the preseason. But overall, you want to talk about finishing the year, you're facing a South Carolina, the Battle of the Carolinas, you're a 10-point favorite, and you get trounced by South Carolina. That's embarrassing to finish the year. You finish it off 6-7. They're a top 3 most disappointing team in 2021. I'm sorry. Moving on to number 2, it's gonna be Clemson. They're probably gonna finish somewhere around number 12. AP poll had them at number 3 overall. They did finish the year 10-3, but guys, Clemson was a lot worse than their record says they were. They were out of the playoffs in early October. This team, the offense completely broken. DJ Uiagalelei completely broken, former 5-star. He was number 2 on preseason Heisman lists, DJ Uiagalelei was, and he didn't even come close to living up to that at all. He wasn't even a serviceable quarterback in college football. The defense was still really good, and people are going to say, well, they still won 10 games, but this team was out of the playoffs by early October. We never would have expected that with a program like Clemson. They did get to 10 wins. They did win their bowl game, but overall, the key takeaway, the offense, DJ Uiagalelei completely broken. Horrible. One of the worst offenses in college football. Clemson coming in at number 2. And then the most disappointing team of 2021, it has to be Indiana. Preseason ranked number 17th. They finished the year as one of the worst FBS teams in college football. This team legitimately went 0-10 in Big Ten play. They were, without a shadow of a doubt, the worst team in the Big Ten. This team was ranked preseason. They were ranked preseason, and they did beat Western Kentucky on the road somehow. But this Indiana team, I had said in the preseason this team was way overrated. I had them going 7-5. Turns out I was too polite. I was too nice to Indiana. They go 0-10 in Big Ten play. They're way worse than Rutgers of all teams. People believed in their head coach. They believed, they were decent last year. It was a pandemic year, maybe a little bit of a fluke. But this team was truly the worst team. You can't even argue it. It's clear they were the worst team in the Big Ten. They were one of the worst teams in the Power 5. Oh my goodness, 0-10 in Big Ten play. They were actually ranked preseason. This is the one team, it's so extreme. Like, there's teams like North Carolina who they were ranked 10th and then they go unranked. Miami was ranked 14th, but this team, Indiana, they were ranked 17th. Not only do they go to unranked, they go to not even winning a conference game. Like, that's how bad it is with Indiana. That's why I have to put them at number 1 on my list of most disappointing teams of 2021. Guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.